Pradesh is seeing a flurry of political activity, and today the Prime Minister was there as well as part of the BJP's mega outreach to the Jat community in Western Uttar Pradesh. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of a university in Aligarh named after Jat icon Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh. Now, during his speech at the event, the Prime Minister paid tribute not just to Mahendra Pratap Singh, whom he hailed as a freedom fighter who had not been given his due, but also lauded the late Jat leader Chaudhry Charan Singh. The Prime Minister said that Chaudhry Charan Singh's guidance benefited even the smallest of farmers. In fact, the UP government's decision to set up the university after the noted Jat figure is being seen as part of the BJP's bid to win over the community ahead of the crucial assembly polls next year.
महाराजा सुहेल देव जी हो, दिन बंधु चौधरी छोटूराम जी हो, या फिर अब राजा महेंद्र प्रताप सिंह जी, राष्ट्र निर्माण में इनके योगदान से नई पीढ़ी को परिचित कराने का ईमानदार प्रयास आज देश में हो रहा है। आज उत्तर प्रदेश देश और दुनिया के हर छोटे बड़े निवेशक के लिए बहुत आकर्षक स्थान बनता जा रहा है। ये तब होता है जब निवेश के लिए जरूरी माहौल बनता है, जरूरी सुविधाएं मिलती है। आज उत्तर प्रदेश डबल इंजन सरकार के डबल लाभ का बहुत बड़ा उदाहरण है।
Well, meanwhile, speaking on the defense corridor, the Prime Minister said Aligarh will become a big center for defense technology and manpower, and that India will carve out an identity soon as a big defense exporter.
कल तक जो अलीगढ़ ताले के जरिए घरों की दुकानों की रक्षा करता था, वो 21वीं सदी में ये मेरा अलीगढ़ हिंदुस्तान की सीमाओं की रक्षा करने का काम करेगा। अब डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री के जरिए भी यहां के मौजूदा उद्यमियों को, एमएसएमईज को विशेष लाभ होगा। जो छोटे उद्यमी हैं, उनके लिए भी डिफेंस कॉरिडोर का अलीगढ़ नोड नए मौके बनाएगा।
Well, the Prime Minister also took a jibe at the previous Samajwadi Party government, saying that there was a time when the administration in the state was run at the behest of criminals. The Prime Minister said that all of this has changed now and the mafia are behind bars. Hitting back at the Prime Minister over the comment, Akhilesh Yadav has asked the PM to pull out the crime data of the state under the current government. He's also accused the BJP government of lying.
एक दौर था जब यहां शासन प्रशासन गुंडों और माफियाओं की मनमानी से चलता था, लेकिन अब वसूली करने वाले, माफिया राज चलाने वाले सलाखों के पीछे है।
तो प्रधानमंत्री जी को होम डिपार्टमेंट का, और अगर होम डिपार्टमेंट का डेटा नहीं मंगा सकते तो कम से कम डायल 100 का डेटा मंगाना चाहिए और उन्हें देखना चाहिए कि आखिरकार उत्तर प्रदेश में अपराध कौन बढ़ा रहा है, और कम से कम मुख्यमंत्री जी को ये निर्देश देकर के जाएं कि टॉप 10 माफिया उत्तर प्रदेश के कौन हैं। लेकिन झूठ बोलने का प्रशिक्षण केंद्र सबसे अच्छा भारतीय जनता पार्टी चलाती है।
Well, on the controversy over Yogi Adityanath's Abba Jaan jibe has not died down yet. In the latest, BJP ally JDU has slammed the Chief Minister over that remark. JDU leader Lallan Singh has said that the country belongs to all and restraint should be made in making such statements.
कोई भी राजनीतिक दल अब उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री को चिन्हित करके कोई बात नहीं कर रहे, लेकिन कोई भी किसी भी राजनीतिक दल को संयमित भाषा में कहना चाहिए। कोई भी राजनीतिक पार्टी, जैसे अभी झारखंड की बात आई तो वहाँ के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, अगर उन्होंने जो प्रवीण जी ने बताया तो वहाँ के मुख्यमंत्री को भी संयमित भाषा में करना चाहिए। मैंने कहा कि ये देश सबका है, यह देश हिंदू का भी है, मुसलमान का भी है, क्रिश्चियन का भी है, ईसाई का भी है, पंजाब के लोगों का, पंजाबियों का भी है। ये देश सबों का है और इसीलिए इस देश में कहा जाता है कि एकता में अनेकता है।
वो अब्बा जान कहें या कोई जान कहें, लेकिन भाजपा क्यों योगी जी को ये बताना चाहिए जो पिता जान कहने वाले लोग हैं उन लोगों को कितने रोजगार उपलब्ध कराएं, कितने लोगों को शिक्षा दिला रहे हैं, क्या काम कर रहे हैं, महंगाई क्यों नहीं काम कर रहे हैं। तो ये तो केवल और केवल धर्म और जात की राजनीति भाजपा के लोग जो है कर रहे हैं। अब तो चुनाव आने वाला है तो जाहिर सी बात है काम तो कुछ किया नहीं। इनका महंगाई कोई मुद्दा नहीं होगा, बेरोजगारी कोई मुद्दा नहीं होगा, शिक्षा कोई मुद्दा नहीं होगा, इस पे कोई चर्चा ना करके लोग जो है धर्म की बात जो है ध्रुवीकरण करना चाहते हैं, इसलिए इस तरह का बेहुदा बयान जो है उन्होंने दिया।
Now's managing editor Vinay Tiwari joins us now. Vinay, Uttar Pradesh is already seeing such a flurry of political activity, and the campaigning has not even actually begun. This is just the start, and in the coming days, we're going to see a lot more activity in this state. But I just want to start off with the Prime Minister's visit to this university. It is obviously aimed at a larger political message and securing a vote bank that appears to be slightly shaky.
Yes, I mean, it's very interesting and important that the Prime Minister has gone to Western UP and in Aligarh and started revoking all the tall leaders from the Jat community in that part, because the BJP somewhere realizes that in the last 4 or 5 years or so, there seems to be some amount of disenchantment that the Jat community has with the party. And remember that the Jats and the Muslims in the Western UP are a very significant factor in elections. And if there is ever a chance when it's quite obvious that the Muslims never vote for the BJP. But if you have the Jat voters moving away to some extent, it certainly creates a problem. I mean, Charan Singh, for instance, the former Prime Minister of this country and probably the tallest farmers leader, has always been a factor in that part of the country. And that's possibly why every single political leader invokes his memory whenever they travel there. But for the BJP to make that overture, not just to Charan Singh, but also to Raja Mahendra Singh, is another indicator that the BJP is conscious of certain vote banks that exist in a state like Uttar Pradesh, and the fact that and the necessity for them to actually woo them. And that's one reason why you saw a very high-pitched, campaign by the Prime Minister today. In fact, I am being told that over the next few months or so, the Prime Minister's visits to Uttar Pradesh, especially the western Uttar Pradesh, are going to be fairly regular. And that's an indicator of how seriously they're taking that part of the state, which probably is the only part where the politics is way more intense than the central or the eastern parts of Uttar Pradesh, Aarti.
Well, Vinay, we've also seen the Aam Aadmi Party today jump in. They had a Tiranga Yatra in Ayodhya. It appears increasingly clear that Ayodhya now is going to become the axis around which the Uttar Pradesh polls are going to revolve.
Absolutely. And it tells you two things very clearly. This is a battle now between the consistency of the BJP and the confusion, the opportunism, and even the laboratory style of politics that is existing among the opposition partners. I use the word consistency for BJP because Ram Mandir and Ayodhya was always the focus of the BJP for decades in Uttar Pradesh. Even before the demolition of the Babri Masjid, Ayodhya was the fulcrum of politics for BJP, and they've been consistent about it. It's the change in the nature of politics in UP, where the majority vote or the Hindu vote, so to speak, has become the fulcrum, which has led to either confusion or opportunism, or I would say even laboratory. For instance, the Aam Aadmi Party's the move today, when they started off their campaign, for instance, from Ayodhya, reflects opportunism. Because remember, they went to Ayodhya, started the campaign today, but then chose to do a Tiranga Yatra, because the idea behind that is actually to revolve around the plank of nationalism and patriotism, something that you really can't counter. It's a strategy which they believe cannot be countered even by the BJP. Nobody can have objections to somebody carrying out a Tiranga Yatra. It is similar to what the party is doing in Delhi, for instance, where they've invested really 100 crores in building flag masts which will hoist the national flag in multiple places across the city. So that's a plan that they've taken. You also saw Saduddin Owaisi starting his campaign from Ayodhya, and very significantly, Aarti, he started it from Dhannipur, which is a locality very close to where the mosque site is located, is going to be located in Ayodhya. And then you saw even the Bahujan Samajwadi party carrying out their Brahmin Sammelan in Ayodhya. And the BJP, quite obviously, has been focusing on Ayodhya as well, not just because the verdict from the Supreme Court went in their favor, but also in other things as well. Just about a couple of weeks ago, they held a Prabodh Sammelan, which is pretty much what means an intellectuals conference, which was hosted in that particular part of the state. So Ayodhya, in that sense, has now become the fulcrum, and it tells you that the politics in Uttar Pradesh is now going to revolve around the majority vote and not so much the other vote factions, because that's what every party is looking to do, intermingled with a little bit of the battle that is going on for the Brahmin vote as well.
Well, the road to the Vidhan Sabha appears via Ayodhya, and it's a very crowded road at the moment with all political parties descending down there. Vinay, thanks so much for that.